Hey, hey, hey.
What's up?
Welcome to the show, man.
Hey,
You
thanks
wanna
for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming. Do you want to just tell everyone about yourself and who you are and what you do?
All right, well, my name's Lamont Davis. I own Davis Mobile Detailing here in Greensboro, North Carolina. And I am here with the Creative Businessmen.
Awesome. Now, you used to work for Apple, right?
I did. I used to work from home, working for Apple. Did that for a couple of years and decided that one great man I know told me that, you have to jump out on faith. And, and he told me about that story of the ships, I think it was.
Yeah.
The captain that had to lead the ship.
Yeah.
Get to the other side of the island, and you had to.
You got to burn the ships.
You got to burn the ships to get to the other side.
Yeah,
way you're
so
not feeling comfortable.
This general, basically, he had a fleet of ships and 400 men, and they were against, I don't remember the number, but let's say 4,000. And overnight, one night, some of the men snuck away, got on a ship, and sailed home. Mm-hmm. So the captain, to keep that from happening, he set fire to all his ships. So they had no choice to retreat. The only way they were going to make it home was to fight the battle, win, and go home on their enemy's ships. And that's what he did. And they won, and they made it home. And so sometimes you just got to burn the ships. You can't have you can't have a backup plan. You got to be all in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Yeah, that stuck with me, and that's why I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go out there and put it all out there.
Now, when you worked with Apple, what did you do mostly? Just computer repairs and.
With Apple, what I did was I did over the phone customer service I was a senior advisor.
Okay.
Basically, where I was the person you spoke to on the phone before it ever got to a supervisor, manager. Basically, we were the only person you spoke to.
Okay.
I was a guy that if something had to be done, then I was the one that had to do it.
Okay, cool.
So
I think it's a pretty typical entrepreneurial move to go from something like that to something completely different because you see the business value in it.
Yeah.
Going from tech support to automotive mobile care.
I mean, I've always had a full-time job, even when I was building my business. And it's just the business side of the automotive was always the passion. And having the full-time job was just paying the bills.
Right.
Yeah, the necessity.
Yeah, so it was just like, okay. And growing up wise, my parents owned their own business. But
Okay.
They also worked a job. My dad was in the Marines Reserve, and then my mom owned the beauty salon, and my dad helped manage it. So growing up, I worked there at the cashier or the receptionist. So that's how I started off as a young kid.
So you kind of had the entrepreneurial seeds planted at an early age then.
Yeah, because it was very successful. I always, once I got to middle school and up to high school, I got told that we know your parents, because my mom was the top beautician in the city, so all the women will go in there to get their hair cut, and ironically, they all were teachers.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, whenever something happened, it was no.
Oh, you had to stay straight-laced.
Yeah, but my sisters, they didn't follow that path. Yeah, they got in trouble all the time. So I was like, okay.
At least you turned out right.
Oh, I thought I did. You know what I'm saying?
So your mobile wash business is doing pretty well, right?
Yes, even during this crazy time right now. I've set things in place to stay active and not really allow this to really bother me too much. But we try to stay within the guidelines, but they keep changing every day.
Yeah. It's evolving.
Moving target.
Yeah, but we have a lot of clients that still push our business out there to their friends and family.
That's good.
And we staying steady. We had a couple people that decided to cancel for now, but we still have a lot of our fleet contracts that they're like, nah, we need y'all.
But you're not really around people either, though. You're working out in the open, away from people, on vehicles.
Correct.
With your own gear and stuff. So.
Yeah, so that's why we take the safety precautions of gloving up and masks. We have the wheel covers, steering wheel covers that we put over the steering wheels, wiping down the key fobs, everything.
Yeah.
But because of there was a little clause in there that says that, you know, some businesses that have 5 or less employees and practice of social distancing and not, you know, we say, hey, we're outside and we do a lot of stuff electronically. So they can actually, we get their credit card over the phone.
Oh, that's
and we
good.
just put it in. That way it was like, hey, well, take a couple pictures, say, hey, your car's done. Oh, yeah, it looks good. And then pay and
Nice,
we're
that's
out.
cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's pretty good. We try to do things that's convenient. And
Yeah.
I think
So
that's-
some of the tech side stayed with you then?
Yeah. Yeah. They,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they, a lot of folks like the fact is just like my website. I've done my own website.
Okay, cool.
And we invest in I had someone that got a program built that allows us to do a lot when it comes to communicating with the customer. Like, when we have a button we can press in the app that sends a message to the customer to tell them our distance that we are from them.
Oh,
Because
wow.
It's integrated with Google Maps.
That's
And
cool.
so that way they can keep track and know when we're coming.
Right.
And it's just, you know, just a little extra way that, like I was saying, the tech side is, I'm very techy when it comes to that stuff, so.
Just something else that's nice for the customers too. They can,
Yeah, they really appreciate that
Yeah.
for the simple reason because letting them know that way they don't have to sit there and wait. Like,
Or,
okay, where are we
yeah.
coming?
Or they're
Where-
calling you
where
like
at?
crazy. Hey, man, how far out are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Cuts down on that, I'm
used
sure.
to get that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I was just like, all right, I'll invest into this program and get them to develop it, and it's been working out good.
Awesome.
When did you get into cars?
I would say when I was in high school, Fast and Furious, when it
Oh,
first
yeah.
came out, and I had a Nissan Sentra stick shift, and I spent like $2,600 getting rims, tires, painting the calipers, you know, just getting mufflers lowered. Yeah, and that's when I was like, yeah, I like cars. But
That's cool.
But as a kid, I've always collected Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars,
Yeah, I did too. I did the same thing.
which I actually,
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I was in the attic, and I have, I think one time we appraised it, and they said, yeah, you got enough to put a down payment on the house. And I was like, if I was a sell-off, I was like,
Wow.
yeah.
Start to think about that. You're like, maybe.
Quite a collection.
Maybe.
Yeah, I used to, in my house up in Jersey, when I was in high school, I built a city in our basement. And like, I have buildings, all that.
Oh,
all
wow, that's
different,
cool.
like, public works, police departments, fire departments, tow truck companies. I every time, even now, when I go to Walmart, I'm always going in there, and I'm like, oh, I don't have that one. And I buy it. But then my little 4-year-old be like, yeah, oh, that's for me, Daddy. And I would have to look at him and look at the car, and I'm like, I need 2. So I would give him one, but I still have not tried to get him into that. But he's getting there.
So you still have the collection then?
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah. I
awesome. That's
have
neat.
a big Lexan that has ones that are still in the box, and then I have a smaller Lexan that has at least 300 or more. Actually, way more than that are open.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
Sweet,
even
man.
cars that were concepts, they're actually now they are actual cars.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
Cool.
I was like, okay. One of the things I thought about doing is some of the cars I've been doing, I actually have those cars. And what we're going to start doing is that certain clients that we know that are on now regularly want to take that car and actually, now that the iPhone has a great little camera, take a blurry picture of the small one and the big one right behind it.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah,
So-
cool.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it gets a little attention up there on, I figure
Yeah.
it'll get some attention on Instagram.
No, it's creative.
Yeah, that's cool.
Got a good following, so.
Yeah, I saw that. You know, we went back a little bit. I feel like it's grown quite a bit over the last, 2 or 3 years.
It has. I've sat back and done some research on hashtags and knowing what people and time frames of when to post and how often to post. And then we noticed that ever since we've been doing that, it's been growing and growing and growing more and more.
Has it helped your business a lot?
Word of mouth, yes, because that's
Great.
actually how it's been. I really haven't paid a lot when it comes to advertising. I've done Facebook. I tried to do one thing one time with a news station where they was like, oh, pay us like $200-something a month and we'll make sure we guarantee that you're on the front page of Google. Did that for a year and really wasn't that, but then I noticed that I started doing it myself and self-advertising, staying on the social media, making posts, interacting more on social media, and we remained up there.
Yeah, it seems like Facebook and Instagram are the best things for local businesses.
It is.
You're reaching your local community.
But the biggest thing is you just have to know how to use the algorithms.
Yeah.
Because targeting your audience. Because if you just go in there and you say, hey, I just want to put this on there, it may not reach a lot of folks that normally don't go on as much. But when you target them, it'll post up more on their site to really push out there versus just if they ironically come across it.
Right, yeah.
So, and I know, obviously I've been doing business with you for years, but so you pretty much triad, or where's the, kind of what's corner to corner, like the distance you're willing to travel and your crews are willing to go?
So far, I have the target mileage about 95 miles.
Gotcha. 95 miles from Greensboro?
Yeah.
Or?
It's a big range.
Yeah, because it goes up to like right there at the cusp of Virginia.
Like Danville?
Danville.
Yeah.
So it's like that much. Because there are certain clients that we have that have some pretty exotic cars.
Right.
That they really don't want to drive it too far.
Right.
And they really don't want too many people to mess with them.
Right.
So they'll say, hey, well, even though I'm up here in Danville, for example, they were like, well, if I get my neighbors and everybody, can you guys come up if we have a lot of cars? And I'm like, yeah. So that's why we do that.
Yeah.
I guess Charlotte's about 90 miles south, right?
Mm-hmm. So we do go down to Charlotte. Usually,
Charlotte and Raleigh.
Yeah. So usually a lot of times we'll base it to say, like with my assistant, she knows that there are certain targets of packages that we will allow to travel beyond certain distances because we got to make sure that it is profitable for us to travel.
Yeah.
We're not going to drive to Raleigh just for a basic inside and out
for
job,
one car,
for like $65, it wouldn't be worth it. I'll spend more time on my guys wear and tear in a vehicle, and equipment, to do that.
Yeah.
So, but I've learned that, in the past we tried to do a lot, just to get out there, and we know that that's usually what you got to do, to build your brand.
Right.
So.
Well, as you grow, I guess you've been able to come, I think as you get bigger, you're able to say no a little more often, but respectfully.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the biggest thing because, I've had folks that will call us and never done business with them before, but they've heard about this. And they're like, yeah, man, we heard that you're like the best out there. Come, but can you do it for this price? And it's just like, that's almost like a 40-30% discount off of what you want. And I'm like, well, we've never done work with you. And what's to say that we do this and never hear from you again? Like we just lost that thinking that we gained another customer. So I've had to learn to say the word no, but in a respectable way.
Well, you've built a good reputation too, so you can now.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of times you'll still have some folks that will ask you.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like, I could have sworn I just told you about 2 weeks ago we couldn't do that. But you have some folks, and I don't get mad at folks for that. I'm like, everyone, wants to try to save here and
of course,
everything. And I tell them like, hey, well, I have a program that is something that might interest you, which is our maintenance program. You pay up front and we book all your appointments that month. We're coming and you get a discount within that time.
Right.
It's a great idea.
You're investing in us, so we're going to invest in you.
No, I like that a lot.
And that's what I tell them. I say, we have to give value in our service. So I try not to use the word discount. I try to tell them that, hey, this is our valued customer. This is our valued program.
It's like they're investing into your company.
Yeah. Because, to say, oh, I'm discounting my services for you is basically saying that, well, I'm not worth that type of service.
Devaluing your product.
Devaluing our services. So I had to learn that. So
so you're just setting up a subscription-based system where it's a commitment from them, and you say, well, if you're willing to commit to me, then I'll give you a good deal.
Correct. And that's what it is. And it's just a nice way to saying, hey, you spend money with us.
Just rewarding loyalty.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
that's a real exchange of value.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, and it works both. That way it's symbiotic.
Brilliant.
It benefits both of you.
Yeah.
Instead of it being one-sided with them just asking for a discount and they may never call you again. Well, 6 months down the line when their car's trashed again, they're going to call you.
Yeah. Because we've had a lot of folks that have, because of us starting that program, we tested it out 1 year, and now we have about 12 people that's on it.
Right.
So that's like 12 people that we know.
No matter what, they're getting
No
it
matter
done.
what,
Regular
they're getting
intervals.
these services done. And also, the reason why I did that was because a lot of folks that were wanting these services were in very areas that closed communities that most people don't usually, they didn't even know. It was ironic, like 2 years ago, a lot of people still didn't know what mobile detailing was. It was like, oh, y'all can come to our house? Yeah. And they started telling their neighbors, and the neighbors told their neighbors, and this one area in the Lake Jeanette area, we're out there all the time.
Awesome.
That's cool.
Well, I know you had told me one time before you had some commercial contracts too. I call them commercial contracts, but where you'd actually go, so office buildings where people, while they were working, you guys would be out like in the parking decks, cleaning the cars for the employees while they're working.
Yeah.
Which I thought was awesome.
Yeah,
Like
it's
the
great
car's
idea.
sitting there with a bar lunch. The car's sitting there for 7-8 hours straight.
Correct.
It's the perfect time to get it done.
Yeah.
I mean, because you tell everyone to say, hey, we'll come out, we'll clean your car, and this is a convenience. Because versus saying, oh man, on my lunch, I got 30 minutes, I got 40 minutes, I got an hour for lunch. Do I really want to go get my car cleaned? It's Thursday, I'm getting off work early on Friday, I'm about to hit the beach. Hey, you give us a call. Go ahead, keep working. Do what you're doing. Make your money. Let us come out there and take care of this for you.
Yep.
So in that way you come out, clean car, you're right. It's nothing better than a clean car
No, I agree.
Oh, yeah, that's
when you
great.
ride down the road, because it's just like, man, because first thing happens when you have a nice car and it's clean, everybody looks over at your car.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the worst about cleaning my vehicle.
Me too.
I'm so busy that the time just goes by so quick. I forget how long it's been since I've had it cleaned, and I look at it and I'm like, oh, this thing's filthy. My truck's always dirty.
Yeah,
Set up the
I'm like
subscription.
the last minute. I'll call Lamont. Hey, man, can you fit me in?
As soon
know-
as I see his name come on my phone, I immediately text my assistant, hey, do we have an opening?
Because he's like,
Or
oh, I got
try
guys
to
in.
respond back, and I'm like,
Yeah, he's got guys in Raleigh. They're everywhere. I'm like, hey, man, can you fit me in? He's like,
yeah, try to do what I can.
It's not just you, though. I'm that way with everything. Like you said, we're so busy. I'm just like,
The time just seems to just fly by.
Yeah.
It's been 2 months, and it seems like a week.
yeah.
You know?
Ask my wife. I don't get anything done at the house.
Well, I mean, and then it's like,
Yeah, that's mine too.
we have a lot of clients that are like that,
Yeah.
because just like, and I tell them, it's like, we understand that, you're busy, you got things going around, you're traveling, you got to go here, you got to go there. So for someone that's in an industry that has them constantly pulling them this way and that way, sometimes it's hard.
Oh, yeah.
To get your vehicle clean, and we understand that. So that's why, like, when you call, I know I have my list of last minute folks that says, okay, well, I try to do what I can for them,
Yep,
and
yep.
I don't get mad. But you do have some folks that are they just want to be last minute, just because.
Oh, yeah.
That they want you to drop the dime whenever you call.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
A lot of people feel special.
Yeah, that's true.
You got some out there, and I'm like, hey, and I had to learn. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry, I can't, because I don't want to set anyone expectations
Right.
to think that, oh yeah, we're coming, and then the first thing happens, they go on Google, they go on Facebook, and they'll blast it out there, and you really don't have an opportunity to defend yourself sometimes.
No, that's 100% true. Yeah, because people are quick to complain and to broadcast negative information, and less so with positive information. Like, I think you have
Yeah.
clients that give you praise, obviously, right? But I think that most businesses would say that's harder to come by, because the percentage of great business you do, let's say that's 99.9%, and you could do 1,000 jobs and get 5, 6, 7 positive reviews. But if you do one bad job out of that 1,000, the chances are very high you're gonna get a negative review.
Right, yeah.
So
Happy people are quiet.
exactly.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that happens. That happens on any company that you work
Oh,
for.
100%.
Even when I was working for Spectrum, in their tech support department, and
As a pre-Apple.
yeah, well, actually, it was before Apple. 'Cause
Yeah.
I worked at it was called Time Warner Cable at the time.
Gotcha.
I was a tech support for them for like 3.5 years, and I left them to go to Apple to work from home. And then back in last year, 2019 January, I started working for Spectrum again, in their tech support department, and then I wound up leaving them to go work where I'm at now, which is working at the Ferrari dealership. So I'm over their detail shop there.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which is our ironic story, but because like what you say, in the fleet contracts is what we call them.
Right.
The first time I left Time Warner Cable, they had reached out to me 2 months and to take over for their fleet. But then they realized, they said, hey, how did you get in this building? I said, well, I just saw your email, but I work next door. And they was like, oh, that's conflict of interest. We can't let you do that. We can't pay you twice.
What?
And I was just like, because they said that if you own 100% of your business, you can't work for us, and then we also pay you for something on the side.
It makes no sense.
Yeah,
I agree.
so they was like, oh, well, do you have
They
someone
basically
that can-"
just told you to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just like, all right. So then 2 months later, that's when I left the company to go work for Apple. 3 months later, they called me again. Hey, we hear you're not here anymore. You still want that contract? So we took over the Spectrum News. So we do all the Spectrum
that's good.
News.
Awesome.
So I was like,
So it
okay.
worked out.
It's
It did.
it's cool that, so we've talked about duplicating yourself as one of the most successful, or one of the best ways to be successful in business.
That's
is
right.
to duplicate your efforts.
Mhm.
That's what you do. Like you're running a detail shop at a high-end exotic car dealership, but you also have your own mobile detailing company, and it's out there working for you while you're doing something else,
Correct.
which is cool.
Yeah, you got multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
And another great person told me about that too. What he told me is like, hey, you want to make sure that you work, because I remember the story that you told me about, almost at a predicament to where things were, have not always been that great. But there were times where it felt like we're going to run down and actually have to get to a point where, am I going to go bankrupt trying to pay my employees, or do I have to get out there myself to do some things? And I had to make certain decisions to say, okay, well, I still have not paid myself a paycheck from my company, and we've been in business since 2013. So times that I would pay myself, I actually reinvest that money back into the business. But my accountant told me, they said, yeah, you're going to have to write yourself a check soon, because you can't just keep doing that. 'Cause
Yeah.
I was just like, well.
Your business is growing. Eventually, they're going to say, hey, listen, it's time for you to pay the piper.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to take owner's distribution, give the government some, and every once in a while, they'll come calling.
Yeah, and I was just like, all right, well, okay, I'll go ahead and do that. But, the reason why I've done that is to take care of my guys, is to let them know I care about them.
Right. Yeah.
Because I really believed in, if I take care of my team,
Right.
they will take care of me.
100%.
And that's why I decided 5 months ago, that when they offered me the job at the Ferrari dealership, they said, well, our guy's going to be leaving here. He's been here 16 years. He's at that point. We want you to take over. We hear you always had a full-time job. And I was like, well, yeah. But then they was like, well, we won't make you sign a non-compete. I said, all right, now you're talking.
There you go.
And I said, well, we'll pay you this. And if you, when you do our ceramic coatings, because I've worked with them as a contractor for 4 years.
Right.
And they said, well, we'll still let you bill us for your company when you do this, because we don't want to have an employee listed as doing this work. And then that way, it works out.
Yeah.
So they made it competitive, and I said, okay, fine. So told Spectrum, I said, hey, I'll holler at you guys later.
Hey,
Wow.
hey. I appreciate everything, guys.
Yeah, because ironically, I actually had it was 2 opportunities I had. It was there, and then North Carolina State Troopers. So I was at that point to where they was like, all right, well, here's your acceptance letter. Do you accept or you decline?
Right.
So I declined it.
Yeah.
Not because I didn't want to do it.
You just had to go where the best opportunities at,
Yeah, because
Well, and then I think this is more in line with your passions as well.
Right.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you don't wanna
because
settle for
to
something.
try to have someone pulled over and then have to look at your phone because one of your texts is calling you, customers calling you, and I'd be like, hey, hold on a minute. I'm still going to write you this ticket, but I got to run in my car and take this call right quick. Or one of those situations where you're like, hey, man, this is a nice car. I detail your car, don't I? Yeah, but I got to give you this ticket, though.
Hey,
So
Lamont, you going to write me a ticket?
They be
You
like-
just detailed this car, man.
Yeah, I know. I was like, hey, man, it was clean. I saw it coming
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Looks nice. Looks good.
Yeah, man.
Because that was one of the questions that they asked me about. It was like, because they said that because they're getting so needing
Yeah.
people that they wasn't allowing once you went to trooper school to be in your area. And they said that, you know, they make everyone not go for a certain amount of time because they
Okay.
have to get used to their job, and then they'll be able to notice. And they was like, you might go to a point where you see someone you know,
Yeah.
or one of your clients. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
And I was like,
It's a little bit of a conflict.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Makes it
I
hard,
was
yeah.
just like,
Plus, you don't want to limit yourself to a job.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nah.
you don't, or at least something that would make your business, it
Yeah.
would compromise your company.
I think you at Ferrari, for me, from what I know about you, is a much better
Oh
fit.
yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
Becau-
oh yeah.
And you're in your element.
And that was the other thing because
And you can keep growing your business outside of that.
That's right.
You can keep adding new vans to your fleet.
correct, because we're almost at that point. Just like we got calls from Amazon right before this situation happened. They were like, "Yeah,
Oh.
we want you to come out and start taking care of our things." And then this happened, and they was like, "Okay, well, we got to hold off for now."
Right.
So hopefully in a few weeks.
Yeah, so I was just like, okay, cool. But you know, it's the passion part. I mean, that was the biggest thing because these other jobs I've had, I go to work and I'm like, man, when can I get off? When am I going to leave?
Right.
But then being up there, it's like, oh yeah, I don't feel like I'm at work.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing I've noticed over the last 4 months. I have not felt like I'm at work.
100%.
We're doing something you love to do and you're around
Exactly.
stuff you love.
Yes,
Yeah.
especially when they say, hey, we got to go get gas in this. Okay, I'll take that key.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the next thing they know, they hear, I'm like, they was like, did you have to take the long way? I just had to test it out.
Yeah. Had to see what this thing would do.
Yeah.
You had to get it dirty before you clean it. You know, you got to.
Yeah.
You didn't want to bill them for a service they didn't need.
Nah, they was like, yo, this car is dirty. Yeah, I'll go ahead and get that taken care of. They were like, yeah, who got it dirty? I don't know. I just walked past and I saw
Yeah. Oh yeah.
a little dirt on
It's
it.
dirty.
Yeah,
It's
you
dirty.
can't have this in the showroom.
Well, I was over at and looking at some Ferraris, and you know, I don't. When this is not the Ferrari plug, but for everybody out there, if you're a bigger guy, tall, not just obese, right? I got a little bit too much. I'm working on it.
Okay.
But if you're a bigger guy, Ferrari is much more comfortable than Lamborghini as far as size. Their cars, and I hear Ferrari's coming out with an SUV because you know the Lamborghini's got the Urus,
Yeah.
or some people call it the Urus. But
Yeah.
and that thing is awesome. I got more room in that than I do my Escalade, right? But I really want a car, and Lamborghinis are smaller. I don't know why, but they got less room. So I may have to get the hookup. You know.
Oh yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got you.
You're going to have to make sure I get the deal. Tell them I need the biggest Ferrari they got, but on the low, you know.
Yeah, we have we're the third largest of the Ferrari dealerships in the United States.
Isn't that awesome? In
And
Greensboro.
the oldest one, yeah.
Oh, it's the
and-
oldest dealership?
Yeah, the third oldest one.
Third oldest one, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
and we have. I mean, everyone knows that Ferraris are built per order.
Right.
But we do have some up there that come through or trade-ins and everything. And I was like, oh, there's one up there I like, you know, and it's just like, okay. Yeah,
You got the Matchbox car to match it?
not that one.
Start looking.
I mean, I know.
That'd be a success story. Your Matchbox car in front of the blurred out car in the back,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Matchbox goes blurry, and the car in the back comes to light, and it's yours
In my garage.
in your garage.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes, I'll make that happen.
I like it. I know you will.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've made it a factor or very important to have a vision board
Oh yeah.
that's in my office, and I look back at it every day, and just to see the goals that I set, to say, okay, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to get here. I even have it set where weekly goals, daily goals.
Yeah.
And I had to take it a step further to where I said, well, we're getting a lot of calls in, so I wound up hiring another full-timer. And I said, okay, I'll take the financial hit right now, get this other full-timer, and since I've made that step, I'm above what I wanted to be
Right.
on a daily goal.
Yeah.
And that was off of a 5-day work week. But now
Right.
we're at 6 now and still hitting that goal. So
Great.
that's why I was just like, okay. And, you know, because like I was saying, it's I've over the years, especially over the last 3 years, I've had some people in my life to where I've made new friends
Yeah.
with, and really listened on a different aspect of being a business person.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm not the one to say I know everything. you know, but I've been around a lot of folks that have been in the business a long time,
Oh, yeah.
in different industries and making, as I say, buku money. And I told myself, I said, one day I can be there. You know, I want to be the one to sit there and say, all right, you guys go ahead, y'all handle the schedule. I'm taking a vacation. I really
Yeah.
haven't taken the vacations.
Yeah.
You know,
It's hard, man. It's hard for me to take a vacation still.
Me too. Yeah.
yeah.
You know, because, I mean, I show up every day. I drive almost 4 hours round trip every day, 5 days a week, sometimes 6. And I have for March 18th was 4 years straight. And I like it.
And if you're at home, you're working on stuff too.
Yeah, man.
Just can't
I
help
like,
it.
I got.
Yeah.
I took the very first. You'd be proud of me. My very first vacation where I didn't fly home, because we have all of our managers meetings and our owners meetings and stuff like this on Mondays and Tuesdays, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like clockwork, every week. And I always fly home to be at those meetings. So I'll get my family where they need to be for the vacation. I'll fly home probably Sunday night or early Monday morning. I'll do my thing on Monday and Tuesday, fly back Tuesday night, right, late, and go back to my vacation. That's what I do. If I'm on a vacation, that's what I do. This was the first time here recently that I didn't do that. I missed the Monday and Tuesday. And obviously I prepared in advance, and luckily I have really good partners.
And,
you know,
and the world didn't end.
and the world didn't end.
It did shortly after.
Yeah.
But that wasn't because of your vacation.
You know, I don't know. Now that you put it that way, maybe not. But no, everything, it survived, and it was actually nice. I still, the whole time I was gone, I was still working in some way, shape, or form. I was still doing something. But the whole time I was gone, I was just like, oh, man, I hope this is going to get done. I hope this is going to get done. Everybody had to tell me, like, take a breath. We got this. We're good. We'll call you if we need you. But it's hard to take a trip. And like you said, you haven't had a vacation, you said, what, 4 years? Actually taking a vacation?
Yeah, actually take a vacation.
Yeah.
Like,
And actually
I've been gone.
Yeah, not work.
And I get yelled at. I see your work phone and your work iPad. Are you really taking that with you? I said,
Yeah.
You have to. You're
Yeah.
an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
yeah. I was like, you have to, because I said, even though, because something happens, you got to be able to be there to respond.
No, you're right.
You know, you can't just say, oh, I'm out, and then just say, forget it, and just walk away.
Right.
I was like, you can't allow, the captain goes down with the ship,
That's right.
Right.
and
you also drive the ship.
Yeah.
And I was
So-
just like, it's not at that point yet. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like it's close. It may actually be there, but still
Yeah.
just not having to,
Yeah.
this year I said, I'm going to take a week, and just go out and just go
Yeah.
on vacation and be like, okay, my assistant I have now, phenomenal. Like, phenomenal.
Yeah.
She really handles things, and I've gotten so many emails, text messages, and phone calls, voicemails, talking about how awesome she is.
Awesome.
So,
That's great.
Hey,
Well,
man, strong people make the difference.
Yeah.
Strong teams.
yeah, it does. And that's why I was just like, okay. I mean, because many times we talk, and,
Yeah.
being around you and the guys, and seeing how you ran the operation and making sure you had this person over here to help with this person over there. And I was like, all right, he's comfortable. He's happy.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like you're doing it the right way too. You're delaying gratification. You're growing your business strategically,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean you've got to be. Eventually, you're going to be at a point where it does reach a level where it's providing you these opportunities, the options to go on a vacation because you have people in leadership positions in the business.
Yeah.
Correct.
That can-
And it's taken me, I've went through at least 13 people to get the 5 people I have today.
Oh, that's normal.
Yeah. I
You
believe
know,
that.
Typical.
And it's just like,
Yeah.
I've had to learn, you can't have just your friends working for you. Because sometimes that does not always
Yeah.
end well.
It depends on the
we
quality.
discussed that.
Yeah, it does. It depends on the quality of the friend, right?
Right,
Well,
yeah.
and I don't mean that in a negative way, but there's a difference in somebody can be a good friend but a bad partner or a bad employee.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Still be a good friend.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, vice versa. You might actually. I've got people that I would not hang out with on a personal level. I'm old school. I've had the same friends since I was like 11,
Mm-hmm.
and there's very few exceptions. And the ones I didn't have at 11, I got in my late teens.
Yeah.
Right, and for the most part, that group of friends has stayed the same. Right, I'm old school, so like for you to make it as a friend with me today, in my 30s, It's a little different, right? But I got people that I would be like, man, that guy's crazy. I would have hung out with him a decade ago. I'm not hanging out with him today, but he's an awesome employee. He's he's strategic to the operation of our business, right? I do have that happen.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, because it is important to, like I was saying, take a step back, look at how to really get the business to go.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't realize how big the detailing network is out there. The community in different states, different areas is a little bit different.
yeah,
You have some people that are making $800,000 a year, $1
Oh,
million,
yeah.
in this field. But area by area is different.
Yeah.
Just like I say here, you can go around, you can see a bunch of guys driving the vans around. Some might have decals, some might not. Some may be brand new, some might be old. Some guys are sitting on the side of the road talking about, hey, $10 car washes.
Yeah.
And I tell everyone, I said, that's fine. Everyone can go out there and make their hustle.
That's right.
I'm not going to belittle anyone. And that's the biggest thing I tell my whole team. I said,
yeah,
if someone calls us or we're out there working on someone's car and they belittle another detail company, talk bad about them, it's like, hey, I'm sorry that you dealt with that, but let us try to do what we can to give you a
right.
better experience.
That's
right.
100% the right way to deal with it too, because when you start trash talking other businesses, you just look bad.
yep,
And
Yeah.
it's just a really toxic thing to do. I mean, I always avoid that too.
yeah,
Any companies I've ever owned or been a part of, I always tell the employees or partners or whatever to, don't just avoid that type of negativity.
yeah,
There's nothing good will come out of it.
No, because, all it takes is for one person to say, oh, well, this person over here
Yeah.
talked bad about this
Yeah.
person, or did you hear about this and that? And
Yeah.
you never know who that person knows.
that's right.
Yeah.
And then they'll go back and go back.
Just let your business or your product speak for itself. I mean,
That's right.
if you're running your business properly and you really care about the quality of your product, then it's going to speak for itself.
Yeah,
Because a lot of times I really believe when they say you can hear 9 no's, but that 10 yeses, that one yes will get you there. And I tell everyone, I said, okay, well, they're like, man, you're in competition with this company, that company. I'm like, not one company can handle all these cars.
No,
That's
there's
right.
plenty
Just
of cars,
because this
plenty of
person
work.
says
Well-
that has this car, oh no, you can't.
that's
No,
right.
you can't do my car. I got somebody else. Okay, no
But you
problem.
really care about your business too. That's part of what makes or adds the value to your company is the presentation you provide. Like if I see a broke down, tore up van, and that guy wants to wash my car, and I see one of your vans that's just pristine and has cool logos on it, I can see you really care about your business.
Mhm.
And I know you work on high-end cars. I'm like, okay, I'll let this guy do it.
Yeah, I think that's the difference too. There's levels. They say there's levels to every game, right?
Oh yeah.
There's levels to this to the business you're in, and you're not dogging the guy that's doing the $10 wash on the side of the road, but that's not you.
Different business. Yeah.
It's a different business, a different business model, and quite possibly, different clientele. That clientele's not a bad clientele; it's just different,
Yeah.
right? And I know for a fact if you've got a $30,000 car that I have or a $300,000 car I have, it's safe in your hands, and I trust you.
Correct.
And I know a lot of other people that are very wealthy that also trust you, and that means a lot. So to the
Yeah.
client that has the car that they take pride in, they're going to feel like it's safe in your hands.
Yeah, I
And-
tell everyone, I
yeah.
said, no matter who you are or what car you drive, because that same person that has that $300,000 car also has that $30,000
That's right.
car.
Isn't it funny how that works?
Yeah, and it's just
That's
like, did you get that weekend
And I don't
car?
think you have a whole lot of competition in this area. There's probably maybe 5 people I know that I would trust with a high-end vehicle in this region.
Yeah,
And you're
that's
one
a
of
big
them.
region. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And out of those 5, there's at least 2 of those that while I think they're competent to do it, I wouldn't do business with because probably not the same ones but there's 2 that I just disagree with some of the things that they've done in the past, the way they run their businesses. So personally, I would just make a personal choice to do business with you because your character aligns with mine, right, and your morals and things. So, so it's one of those things. But
Yeah.
what happens is as you get to the top, that list narrows. Right, and I think that's where you're at. And I think most people that think about you and your business, they think, okay, and if they know the car world, if they know the detail world, your name's gonna be at the top of the list, which I think's cool.
Yeah,
and you're a
I
good
try to-
dude
try
too. It's
to
hard
get
not
up
to
there.
like you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not trying to, rip
Yeah.
anyone off or do anyone wrong.
Yeah, I just look at it being how would I want to be treated?
Yeah.
You know, I've been in customer service for a long time as a kid, and that's the reason why I think the reason why I'm that way. And then also because of the fact that, you know, as a young kid, I volunteered for an ambulance squad, dealing with the elderly as a young kid, as a first aider. And then I became an EMT at 16, and
Oh, wow.
having patience is where I've learned that you have to have patience.
Yeah.
You can't please everybody. You know, in this field, we can do everything in the world to make that car look good, but that stain won't come out unless you re-dye it, and we can't re-dye it. It's a problem. And I was like, we can't get that out. We tried, but
Yeah.
they're like, well, this is what I paid for. I understand, but that has to be replaced. And they were like, oh, all right. And then it's just like, all right,
Yeah.
you know, I try. You know, we try to do everything we can to get 110%.
We're always going to have people that aren't reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's why our model is where we make your ride showroom ready.
Oh yeah.
We
Yeah.
make it to where that way you could have had it for 10 years, you could have had it for 2 months, but every time you get in that car, you're going to feel like you just got it.
Yeah, and Showroom Ready, when I go to the dealerships all the time, there are flaws, and some brand new cars have flaws.
Mm-hmm.
But used cars are still used cars. They may be showroom ready, but they still have some type of flaw, right?
Oh, yeah.
So people want $1,000 fix for $250 or for $50,
Yes.
right? But the fix is you got to replace the interior, some part, right? The cloth, the leather, etc. You can fix it 95% for a fraction of the cost.
Yep.
But they wanted that 100% for a fraction of the cost.
And I always tell them, I said, hey, we can do what we can, but it's just like when they come in for an inspection. Part of our job is what I tell my guys is that when you get there, you tell the customer what you're there to do.
That's right.
And what services that they signed up for. But you also tell them, hey, well, we might not have known this, or you might not have told us about this over the phone, but here's the additional things we can do. Here's the other package. Here's the additional cost. Or, well, this is what you asked for, but you really don't need that. This is what you can do. And a lot of people appreciate that when we do that. Granted,
Yeah.
we're all out here to make money, but I'm not going to make them pay for something
Right.
they really don't need to get.
No, yeah.
You know, because there are some folks out there that will like, oh no, you gotta, you know, do this and do that. I mean, ironically, there's like a company out there. He's really not a company, but he claims that he's detailing. You know, because I was a private investigator for many years, and I heard some things, and I was like, what? Nah, he's not doing that. And this guy is going around to these businesses, charging them like $160, saying, hey, we're going to do a full detail on your car. They take the car, drive it to the little pull-up car wash, use the quarter machines to clean the car with
Oh,
the
wow.
brush.
Oh man.
Use a vacuum machine to put the $1.50
No.
in there to vacuum out. They wipe it down,
Oh.
scratches up the car,
Oh.
and then goes to them. And then these people are like, yeah, you know, I got this. And then one time one person reached out to me, had a black Escalade, came to me. He was like, yeah, I got this guy. He always charged me $150, and over here, and he was one of the people that the guy was doing. And I
Wow.
was like,
And when you saw the sunlight hit that black Escalade, it was just scratches
yeah.
everywhere.
It's
Yeah.
just like everywhere. But, you know, the thing is that most people think that like holograms and mirror marking, there are some cars that come from the factory just like that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Ferraris are one.
Yeah.
But then when you finish it, it's like it's like a mirror.
Yes.
It almost looks like a liquid.
Like
you
glass.
Just stick your hand
That's
into it. Yeah.
Correct. I mean, and that's what we like to push, like the end results. Like I
Yeah.
said, we go for the end results because we know that when you come outside and you come look at that car, you're like, oh yeah, thank you. I
Yep.
mean, we have some clients that just know that we do things the right way,
That's right.
Yeah.
and they don't even come outside to check their car. They'll be like, they'll send a text, say, hey, thanks, I'm on the phone, conference call, this, and that. Here's money, or sometimes they'll just leave the money in the car. And it was like, okay, leave a $50 tip. And it was like, okay, we know you do good work. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I still just want you to come and check it, you know.
Yeah.
But it's really joyful being in this industry because, like, stress levels, it could be a stressful job, but when I'm out there detailing and stuff, got my music in my ears, I'm in another world.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I love it.
Have you thought?
Go ahead. Go ahead. You first.
Have you thought about in the next maybe 5 or 10 years when EVs become really popular, and they've become the majority of the fleet, and we have a lot of autonomous vehicles. Just having like something where you could have like on your app where the customer could just select car wash and their car would just drive to you.
Man, that would be awesome.
I'm sure that'll happen.
I actually want to, like, two things that I've always wanted to do, that I made a decision of over the last 2 years, is to have, if I was to have a car wash, it would actually be to where, like, have you ever seen the autism kids?
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's a car wash that has autism kids as employees, and the only people that are not autism is management. And I always thought about having one of those
There's a few of those businesses around. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
built, because my old roommate, he worked with autism kids, and they're very smart, you know, and some of them have that niche to where they can just, you'll be surprised what they can do. And the other one is to just have a detail shop again, to where people just know they can just drop the car off, come back and get it, and just like, poof,
Yep.
they just know it's taken care of. But
Yeah.
that would be awesome. I actually, ironically, Tesla reached out to me back in 2019, February, about a request that I put in to build
Oh yeah.
the charging units out here.
Out here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I was
awesome.
just like, oh, I was like, yeah, that idea didn't go out. I was like, yeah. So they was like, yeah, we could have done it, because they would have liked it to have somewhere.
Yeah.
When I was just like, okay.
Well, we got some other properties we're currently looking at buying, so maybe we can still do that.
I mean, it'd be
I thought
fun.
about buying a Tesla. I don't know. In Charlotte, Tesla's like, I don't know, 2 miles from the Lamborghini store. So I went there, looked at what I really wanted, and then I went and looked at Tesla. But I'm telling you, man,
They're cool.
it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
I was
it's a good
super
car.
impressed with. I mean, when I was in that, I feel like we're not far away from that car's going to drive itself better than I can. You know, I enjoy the experience of driving a car. I don't know if that goes away, but for the mundane driving, the commute, the travel, the back and
Waste of
forth to
time.
business, that
Yeah.
I don't need to be driving. I want the car to drive itself. That to me, I can focus on getting some work done and being really productive during that, or listening to audio podcast or something on Audible, something, doing something productive versus driving, because driving in itself without a purpose, just to commute, to me, that's a waste of my energy if the car is safe enough to do it by itself.
You can do a lot of work in 4 hours.
That's right.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised, because they already have tractor trailer trucks that are driving
Oh, yeah.
itself by
Yeah.
itself. I think it's either in Indiana or Arizona.
I think all the Teslas now are stage 3. There's 2 or 3 autonomy. It's basically fully autonomous, mostly, at least on the highway driving. But they think stage 4 will be out maybe in maybe 2025.
Yeah, I was about to say about 3-4
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
because that's what they talked about for that trucking
There's
company.
there's a lot of variables.
Yeah,
With stoplights and stuff like that.
because they're saying that the computer systems can recognize all the different things by the Google mapping.
Yeah.
But it's the person.
Well, the optics is the way it works the
Yeah.
best. I mean, according to Elon Musk, the current optics are still 10 times better than the average person.
Mm-hmm. So
So,
they think about a person.
so they can just see everything at once.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they can see farther
Right.
than we can.
Yeah.
To get the distance and slow it down.
Right, yeah.
Make it faster.
Be proactive.
It's all about the AI the power of the AI
Yep.
algorithms.
I know it's coming.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I
100%.
mean, Tesla already has the app where you can drive the car to make it come to
Bring,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't
Hail
remember
the
what they
car,
call it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just like they were like, "Come here, boy," and all of a sudden, they're like, come here, and the car just driving. I was just
Give a
like,
little treat, a
yeah,
little
I
snap
was
on the
like,
ass.
"Hey, there you go."
Good job.
Like,
Good
yeah,
job.
there you go. I'll go ahead and shine you up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's probably called the valet option or something.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
something like that. And I was just like, okay, well, technology, like I was saying, being on technology, I always see it coming out, and I was just like, I always told myself, if I hit the lottery, I will have me a Bugatti. But I have a Bugatti.
Yeah.
I think there's only been one person in North Carolina that's had one. The guy up in Raleigh, he might still
I
have
don't
one.
know.
But I was just like, yeah, I will have one. And, just because.
And if you don't hit the lottery, I think statistically you're more likely to be successful as a business person and earn it over time.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
but if
yeah.
you do hit
Much
the
more
lottery,
likely.
yeah, I think you're much more likely to do that. And you're on that path, man.
I don't know. I mean,
Eventually, what'll happen is you'll
Keep
have the
building that
ability.
fleet.
Yeah, you'll have the ability to buy one, and it'll just be the choice. Do you want to buy it?
correct. I mean, and it's not something that I would say, oh, yeah, I gotta have it. That's not what I'm the goals that I have
Right.
that I push for now. You know, the goals that I have to push for now is to be that company that is on the radio station.
Right.
The company that is always being seen. They'll be like, you know, now a lot of people do know who Davis Mobile Detailing is.
No, you're right.
You know,
Sometimes I'm traveling, I'm just commuting, and I see your van. I'm like, one of your vans. I'm like, there's one of Lamont's vans. That's awesome though, because I know you obviously personally, and I see your van's out working, and I'm like, it makes me subconsciously, I'm like, I wonder what's going on. Sometimes when I reach out to you, it's because I saw one of your work vans.
yeah, I mean, because, you know, some folks will say, oh, you know, I've never been the one that has sat on the side of the road waiting for work to come through. When I decided, I was working a full-time job as a private investigator. We were doing a private security at this one company that was going out of business, and they wanted us to be there to watch, to make sure that people wasn't coming there at night stealing stuff because they knew they were about to get laid off because they were moving things overseas. And I was working 12.5-hour days for 6.5 months, working 5 to 6 days a week. And I just decided, I said, man, like sometimes we were busy 6 months out the year, and then 6 months we wasn't. So in 2012, I decided, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make me a business. And in 2013, March of 2013 is when I decided to go ahead and say, hey, I'm gonna build me my own business.
Right.
My parents did it, why can't I? And you know, I saved up like $30,000 and just dumped it all, bought me a van, equipment, for 3 weeks at night when I was working, because I was working 8:30 at night to 8:30 in the morning or 9 in the morning. And I sat in a computer just watching videos, YouTube videos on how to do this and do that. And how I learned how to do paint correction and coatings was because I watched the videos and I went to the junkyard and bought a couple of hoods and doors and just started just learning the different paths of paint correction. And then that's when the ceramic coatings were really coming out then, and I was like, okay, well, I could do this. And then that's why now we're some of the top choice of people that do the coatings and paint corrections for a lot of people.
I was going to ask you, how'd you get into that? Because I know you did paint correction on one of my Escalades, and you had talked to me about the ceramic coating and stuff, and I was going to ask you how you learned how to do it. So that's a really awesome idea. Go to the junkyard, get some scraps, and practice.
Yeah, because, I mean, you could practice on someone's car. You mess someone's car up.
Yeah.
One of the situations where you're like, oh, yeah, I burned through your paint.
It's inspirational, though, for other people that are wanting to start their own business, learning how entrepreneurs got started in a business like that. So that's a lot of people will be inspired by that.
So
I tell anyone that, you know, if you have a passion about something, you can make it a business. You know, there's many different ways that, you know, just because someone else is doing it doesn't mean that you can't. I mean, just look at grocery stores.
Yeah.
How many grocery stores do we have? They stay busy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can't just, that's why I say not one person can be the only person that can do that.
Yeah.
You know, you got multiple hospitals that, you know, that does this and does that. Doctors can do this and do that. So
Yeah.
I tell anyone, don't think that you can't do something.
Right.
Just do it. Because one of the biggest things that I always tell anyone that come to me, because I have a lot of people that send me messages on Instagram, Facebook, and everything, asking me about, you know, the business, and some people have followed me from the beginning. And I tell them, I said, if you keep worrying about what someone else says about you or some other business is talking bad about you, just think of it, that you're driving that car that you always wanted, that you keep clean. You're driving down the highway, and you keep worrying about the people that's behind you, and you keep looking in that rearview mirror. You won't notice what's in front of you, and you just wrecked that dream you just had.
That's
because
right.
you ran
That's a good
into
analogy.
something
Yeah.
else. You know, so just stay focused.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I've had some ups and downs a lot. Like I've been through, I ain't gonna say hell and back, but
You've been through some stuff.
Yeah, I've been through some stuff to where I thought I was gonna lose everything I had, but I said, you know what? I'm not gonna allow this to defeat me. I'm going to keep pushing.
Yeah.
And you know, we were down, but some people don't even know.
But you kept your momentum. You just kept going.
Correct. Yeah.
Another thing, too, that's for people that are wanting to start their own business, it usually costs a lot more than you think.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
when you
yeah.
when you try to start a new venture, and you said you had $30,000, that 30,000 probably turned into 100,000 pretty quick.
Yes, it did,
Right,
because
yeah.
you would think of, how much you spend in product,
Yeah. And
how.
other things you need that you didn't think of.
Correct. I mean, even like
Yeah.
with training, like to get training on this or training on that, like it was where I was gonna pay somebody else to learn these certain things that I knew, but people that actually teach the class reached out to me and said, hey, would you like to help teach? Because they said, you actually have that momentum of helping others, and I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
And also employees. When you start hiring employees,
Oh, yeah.
they're a lot more expensive than you realize
Oh, yeah.
because, that say you have a $30,000 or $50,000 investment to start a project, but then you have to hire employees. Those
Either
employees
way,
can cost you at least that
Oh, yeah.
just in the first
Each.
year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because you
So-
think about, we have our business insurance, payroll tax, employee tax. I mean, we pay, workers' comp. Found out they was like, yeah, workers' comp. Like, yeah, oh, if you make more, oh yeah, we're gonna take more.
That's right.
Right.
My insurance. I was like, why did this just jump double? Like, it was like, yeah, because you had some really, like, she sent an email. Said, oh man, your sales was awesome, but just to let you know,
Yeah.
you got to pay more, because they're thinking that it's not so much of, it goes off your price. So they're saying that if you did 90,000 this year and then all of a sudden you did 160,000, it could have just been where the jobs you were doing were paying a whole lot more, put the same amount of time in, but they're gonna say, oh,
Yeah.
You made more.
Their formula says that their risk level went up because you're in theory touching more cars.
Yeah.
yeah, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But and I tell everyone, I said that want to do it right. Like if you go into business, especially in the automotive field, do it right.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to say, oh, I can do this, make sure you can stand by that.
That's right.
Yeah,
You
and be
know.
insured, because if you're not,
Correct.
Yeah.
Because like you
That'll
can
finish you.
simply, even though we pay for insurance, and knock on wood, we haven't had to use it, because God forbid we mess up one of these $300,000 Ferraris or Lamborghini, and they're going to expect for it to get taken care of.
Oh, yeah.
right.
Because just like if you have an insurance that, 'cause we have a $2 million policy, just because that way if we had $2 million worth of
It's just
vehicles,
typical. It's-
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
every business should have a $2 million policy.
Okay, because if you had a policy that only covered $100,000 and that car was $150,000,
You're out of business.
Yeah.
you got to pay that
Yeah, you're gonna eat
$50,000.
it.
Yeah.
So, that's why I tell I tell the guys when they send me messages, they say, "Hey, man, did you this?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't have it right at the beginning." I
Right.
said, "But just take your time and you'll get there."
Yeah.
Because you don't want to rush it, because you rush it,
Yeah. And I think that $10 job on the side of the road probably doesn't have those things.
no.
And that's not and I respect the hustle. You got to get out and do what you got to do, and there's levels, and you do what you got to do day one, but very quickly you need to get your stuff in order, get your house in order before it becomes a problem. And I would say now, if you can, I would wait, delay gratification of starting your own thing, and I would wait till you've got at least enough money to start it the right way.
Correct.
And you had said earlier about initial investment $30,000, but if you go back a little bit, you had said that you hadn't taken payroll in what now, almost 7 years,
Mm-hmm.
6 years, 7 years, because you've been reinvesting everything you make. You've invested hundreds of thousands, if not more, into your business. It started with $30,000, right? But it didn't grow today to what it was off $30,000,
Right.
right? And then
Yeah.
I know that you've been through a lot of positive things. You've been through some negative things. I was along for, witnessed some of the negative stuff you went through, and I'll tell you, just to pay you a compliment, you didn't lose your temper. You didn't get, whatever happened was beyond your control. Somebody else that you were doing business with left you with a problem, and you showed up. You showed up the next day, and you showed up the next day, and you showed up the next day, and you dealt with the problem even though you didn't create it, and you just kept moving forward. And that's like you said, hey, you've had stuff happen to you, which you have, but the difference is that consistency and that I'm just going to get up tomorrow and I'm going to face it, right? Most people will
Run from it.
run from it. They
Yeah.
turtle up and they retreat when it gets hard.
Or blame it on someone else.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And that's why I was saying, like, I really compliment you and Matt as well, because you guys are there to gave your personal insight about things on a business level, even on a friend level.
Yeah.
You know, and I took that and I was like, okay, you know, because sometimes you can't, you know, control everything.
No.
And like I say, I'm the type that I was like, okay, well, even though this happened, I'm not going to sit up here and, you know, it hurts, you know, it hurts.
Oh, yeah.
But you gotta keep going because, you know, think about like some of these guys that made cars or made artwork or anything like that. It didn't just go through the first time.
That's right.
You know, in order to get something good, you gotta come across something bad to know that, okay, if I fix this, this may not happen again.
That's right.
This happened this time, so let me make sure I don't do this.
Yeah.
Right.
So I tell everyone, I said, you know, you're gonna go through times to where you're gonna run into a brick wall,
That's right.
but it's you that's gonna decide, oh, I gotta stop right here, or, all right, so how am I gonna get above that wall? How do I get above there, or how am I gonna get through it?
Right.
So I'm gonna either break through this wall, or I'm gonna climb over it,
Right.
you know? But it just all depends on who you're gonna be,
That's right.
you know, because, you know, you got some folks that say, oh, man,
Or maybe that's the wrong direction. Maybe just go the other way.
Yeah.
Walk around the wall.
yeah, because, you know, it's different ways of
That's right.
getting around
That's
it.
right.
It's just,
Yeah.
you just gotta.
You got to fail. You got to find all the ways to fail, I think, sometimes
Right. Yeah.
before you figure out how to win,
Yeah.
how to succeed. And like, I really have felt like, and even in our experience, like I've failed a lot, you know, and the whole it's cliche to say somewhat, but Michael Jordan missed more shots than he ever took, than he ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He missed way more than he ever made. Right? You have to miss shots to figure out how to make them, right?
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of ways to fail, and so when an opportunity comes or a business comes and things happen, other people that maybe we're looking at doing business with or that we're consulting with or mentoring haven't lived that yet, right? And so it's hard for us to express to them, hey, this is what you should do, and here's why we think that. And it's hard. Sometimes even with us telling them, they still got to go through it themselves.
Most people just don't believe you.
Yeah, they think
You can see it. I was like,
yeah, they think we're wrong.
yeah, like we're lying to them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You just don't want me to be successful. Actually,
I'm just trying to look.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to give you good advice.
Yeah,
but,
man.
I mean, and,
You don't
and
have
there's
to take
some
it.
exactly.
Some people look at that, like
Just know
some
what's
people
gonna
really do.
happen.
Yeah.
Because and some of the things I've noticed that people are really quick to judge somebody,
Oh yeah.
like really quick. Don't want to take the time to actually read the book.
Yeah.
Like you see the cover, but you really don't want to read the book.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there are people that went through a lot, like a lot. Like I mean, times like, you know, like I'm saying, being there to really like the point of losing everything you have, and you have to make that decision. Okay, am I just going to give up, or am I going to keep fighting? Like fight for what you want.
Yeah.
You also you do have to rely on your intuition sometimes though, because sometimes the cover of the book is the book. If it looks like a horror book, you may want to stay away from it. It may be a horror.
And, yeah, you definitely. Sometimes some people are like.
Well, they send off
That's
that
what I'm saying,
vibe
your passion.
immediately. Like, well,
Yeah.
maybe they say things like they give you they're giving you subtext, or they're giving you chapter titles without you having to read. You know, you
Yeah.
get a red flag. You're like, oh, I don't know.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
proceed with caution.
Yeah, I got some people that come up to me like, "Oh yeah, I do some detailing stuff myself. You know, maybe I can come work for you." And I'm looking at them like, "All right, so I can see what you're wearing underneath your clothes. I'm seeing your butt, and then your face right now is rough as all could be." So
Yeah.
I'm like,
And then you look at their car,
yeah.
and I don't care if there are some old cars, right? Some worn cars, some used vehicles that still are kept clean.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
People take pride. So to me, if they're in your world, they're going to take pride in whatever they've got, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And keep it right. To me, that'd be like going to a barber or a hair salon and they look a mess. I'm not letting that guy cut my hair, right? Look at his hair, right? Like,
I've learned my lesson
Yeah.
because when I started to detail with my Charger, it's 08 Charger, but people think it's clean.
oh, it
Yeah,
is.
It's clean.
Yeah.
I learned my lesson one time. I pulled up to a guy. This is before I got my rims on there, my decals and everything. And I drove past him. And he was at Sonic, and he took a spray bottle out and he was spray waxing his car and wiping down his rims. And I was like, "Hey man, I detail cars, you know, this and that." And it just rained and my car was dirty. He said, "Hey, man, so let me just give you a word of advice. If you detail cars, this is your business card on wheels. You gonna hand someone a dirty business card? What's the first thing they're gonna do? They're gonna throw it out.
That's
They
right.
don't want to
Yeah.
put that in their pocket.
That's
they
a
don't want
good,
to put that in their
he
wallet.
did you a solid.
He did. So that's
Really?
why I made sure. I said, all right, got to make sure this thing is good.
That's
And
right.
there's been many a times I'm driving down the highway and I get someone calling me, telling me, hey, man, I was trying to get your number and your website off your car, but you was just too fast. And I was like, oh, my bad, I'm sorry. You know, but they're like, you know, I've had people take pictures of my car
Oh, yeah.
and post it up and tag us. And I was like,
That's cool.
oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, there's just different things I've learned over the years. So just little things that people say that you just got to be like, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah. So are you still doing the? I used to do some stuff like the cars and coffee. I know you did some events, different stuff like that. You know, have you done any? I know you did some back in the day.
There's like some locations now that are doing it multiple times. So like they have one that was only in Greensboro.
Right.
And then they built one out in Winston-Salem, and then they have another one in Kernersville. And then they have two in Greensboro now, which they're both called Greensboro Cars and Coffee, but they're ran by two different people.
Oh, interesting.
So, but the original person branched off, and because they felt as though it was getting a little bit out of hand, more so of vendors
This is a huge event.
versus people out there having fun, and
Right.
bring their cars out and everything like that. So, every once in a while, I do go out there and do them. But the ultimate goal is once I do get another shop, we'll have enough parking to actually
Host your own.
host them
Oh,
out there
yeah.
again.
I know there's some politics, a lot of politics in the car, in the side of the car industry that you're in. I remember something about somebody was a sponsor and they didn't want you in it because
Correct.
you were competition. I thought that was
Yeah,
pretty dirty.
and that's the
That
reason why
is.
some
Yeah.
of them, some of them felt as though that they wanted to not have the vendors anymore. Because you think about it, is if you're having a show where people are coming out to, and you want to have the cars out, so I was just like, I'm just going to just bring my car. I'm not sitting up there talking to everyone, telling them about, hey, here's a business card, not putting business
But you
cards all
should.
over my car.
Everyone should be able to, though. I mean,
Well,
that's
yeah.
how it used to be. When I used to
Yeah.
go to Cars and Coffee, it was just like a community of car people, and
Yeah.
everyone came out, and you had some people there that had detail businesses
Mhm.
or car shops and stuff like that, and they would bring some of their cool stuff with them. It was fun.
See, like with me, like if
Yeah.
someone comes up to me, and there's other guys that have detailing companies, like if I pull up somewhere or someone pulls at us and they'll be telling me about stuff, I'm like, okay, cool. And I converse with them,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to be like, oh, no, you're in my area. We actually had people
and they
that
should
told
anyway,
us, they was
because
like, oh, this is our area.
if
You
you-
can't be over here. And I'm like,
if you're really confident in what you're doing, you should just
Yeah.
worry about your own business
correct.
and and you're going to have competition no matter
Yeah.
what you do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So just worry about the customers. Worry about being nice to people you interact with, and give them your business card and show them what you're doing, show them your work,
Mhm.
and let them go to the next person and meet that person. Maybe they just like that person better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just not the right fit.
And I tell them, I said, don't be discouraged. Like
right.
you're gonna have some folks, like I said, those 9 no's. You might get that 10 yes that next time you talk to someone. I said, because there were many times I got that person that says, oh well, I walk up to anybody. I can converse with anybody. And I said, hey, if you ever need a professional detail, just let me know. Here's my card. They was like, oh, okay, well I got someone. Okay, no problem. All right, but if you need anything, just let me know.
Yeah.
I've had people call me back after that.
Oh,
They
yeah.
say, oh, the guy I used to have, he kind of disappeared, and
Yeah.
then we built relationships. Like I've had one person that, he was a-hole, and when I was talking to him and everything, and I approached him and everything, and and then like, I think it was a year and a half later, he reached out to me. He was like, hey man, guy was detailing my car, he moved, but I've been hearing about you and I've been seeing this and this and that. So can you come and been detailing his cars for the last 3 years now?
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I'm like, okay, I understand, you never know what that person is going through.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might have just been a bad day when I talked to him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like just you got to sell yourself,
Yeah.
to the people out here, to let them know about your business. Just because
Yeah.
someone tells you no, don't be like the creditors calling you because they're going to irritate the hell out of you.
Yeah.
But respectfully be able to tell them about your business because you want them to remember you when they walk away.
Be confident in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, just be confident. Because if you're not confident, they're not going to trust you.
No.
I'm kind of curious. How long did it take? I mean, I imagine in your business, you had to sort of develop like a niche, like kind of like, like not every vehicle. So you find like a certain type of vehicle, in your case, high-end cars and stuff like that. Did it take a while to kind of find the right recipe or science to kind of feel like what works for your business?
Well, actually, it was more of a situation where I had a lot of people that had different type of cars.
Right.
We really didn't get into the high-end vehicles until almost 2 years later.
Okay.
Because some of the people that we were dealing with, word of mouth, really started getting there.
Right.
And then we had a couple people that were like, hey, well, we know this guy over here that can detail. And it took, I would say 6 months after doing this one guy's car, where he stood outside every time I detailed this car. So he literally would like stand over me and be watching, and he's like, hey, do you know the 2-bucket method? I was like, oh yeah, that other bucket that's over there, yeah, I know about that. That's what I'm doing. He was like, oh no, So it took time to actually get to that point.
Right.
So I tell everyone, I said, hey, you'll get there. Just don't give up. Keep pushing.
Right. And
then now to the point to where this one guy just moved from Arizona, and he was following me on Instagram. And ironically, I detailed his car his Ferrari at the dealership 3 months ago.
Wow.
And he was like, hey man, I've been following you, and we're just moving here. I really don't let people touch my car, but I would like for you to come out. And I was like, okay, cool. We'll come out there. And it's just like, I tell everyone, I said, granted, even though he has Ferrari and other exotic cars, like, sometimes I am a kid in a candy store.
Oh.
But we don't, like, be jumping all over the person.
Right.
It's just like, we just let them know that, a lot of our clients are private people. Some people that are just out there, regular folks that walk around. You just never know.
Sure.
That they have that weekend car.
Yeah.
But we treat everyone with the same respect, but we know that when it comes to the car, yes, you got to pay extra care, certain products that we use on this vehicle, that vehicle. But it took time to get there.
For sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, we love all kind of cars. So I've came across some cars. I was just like, oh man, it's a $500,000 car.
And that van you posted the other day, you remember them talking about the van you just did?
Yeah, the red one.
That one.
Yes.
What was that? It was a.
It was a Chevy. Which one is it?
I feel like I saw this.
Yes. I cannot remember what type of van it is.
The guy, he owns his custom shop in not Whitsett. What's the other? Not Elon. It's another little town right there next to it. But he owns a custom body shop, and I wish I posted the picture of the interior because it has leather, the whole inside, leather, and it has like flames, like built into the leather,
Nice.
and it's hardwood floors.
Was it like a
Really?
1970s?
You should have posted some inside pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, like
It was like a 70s or 80s, yeah.
80s van, yeah.
Chevy
Oh,
20.
yeah, Chevy 20.
Yeah.
And he has a
It was cool.
350,
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
350 engine in there.
Awesome.
That's the one.
Like
Yeah.
he just put a new engine and everything in there, and he was just like, yeah.
See, I can
Like,
appreciate
start
that too.
Yeah, that's
remote
cool.
start and everything.
And that's the thing. Like, my brothers, I guess in some distant way, not blood related, but their family. I believe it's my brother's wife's grandparents or aunts or uncles, but they've got this like 1980s Cadillac car, and I'm sure it drives like a boat.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why, but I want it. I've been telling them, like, hey man, let me know.
Hey, that's a tank.
I'm telling you, I'm like, I got to get it. And the first thing in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna have you do the paint correction, have you get it right. I'm gonna ceramic coat it. I'm gonna get it. It doesn't need much, but you can tell it has not been touched. I mean, like, it just.
You'll be surprised.
Oh.
Some of these cars, and then like you'll notice that like some of the elderly will drive these Cadillacs and everything like that. It'll tank.
Oh yeah.
Get hit by one of them cars.
Yeah, it'll
Your
win.
car will have not a scratch on it, but your car will be totaled.
You should get that car and make like a resto mod out of it. You know, like completely redo everything under the hood and
Oh yeah.
the
Oh,
interior.
those are the sleepers too.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
some of these cars
Make it a
you go to,
modern
you
car
pop
underneath
it up
that
and
old
you're like,
shell, you know.
where all this stainless steel come from?
All this
You look
aluminum.
at the car and you're like, what in the world is this? And also you start it up and it just sounds like a hot rod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
I just want to go to one of the $1 million closing and driving that. I just think it'd be hilarious
Mm-hmm.
because it's like you said, the sleeper, but it's the other side of it. Like, who's this?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you love it. I had a guy come up and it was a guy. He was like, "Yeah, my one of our friends, you know, going through some hard times, and they didn't want to deal with the car anymore." And I was just like, "Oh, okay." And they dropped it off to me, and I was just like, "Man, this car's clean." They was just like, "Yeah, pop the hood," and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, it needs some work." Never looked like they cleaned the engine before, but we got through cleaning the engine. Looked like a brand new engine. And I was just like, "You just got to do this twice a year." You know, there's certain things that most of the times people don't know.
Right.
One of the integrations with technology of what I have is that the app that we have is actually hooked up to Carfax. So literally, when we scan the barcode or the VIN number, we can see the complete history of the car. So sometimes what we do is that when we do our ceramic coatings, our paint corrections, our interior coatings and stuff like that, it's reported to the Carfax.
That's awesome.
Oh,
So in
that's
that
cool.
way, if someone gets a Carfax, they can look and say, "Hey, this car has been kept clean, been taken care of," and then also
That's
we
an add
actually
value.
Yeah.
we let them know. It's just like, "Hey, did you know your car just had a recall?" And we've had people like, "What?" So we only been doing it the last 2 months.
That's awesome.
So there's
I didn't even know that. I was gonna say
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's just like we could tell them, "Hey, there's a recall on your vehicle. You might want to go check it." And
Yeah.
and it doesn't just when we scan it, like we see, like my Charger, it showed me everything from 2008 when it was built all the way up until now.
That's awesome.
Nice.
So just adds a little value.
Oh,
I
it
mean, that's
does.
what we're trying to do is just
Yeah.
add value to our customers' experience.
That's right.
Is that what I say?
Dude, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to have you hook mine up and check it out.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is I've got a 13 Escalade that I still just drive all the time, and I've been like my hands on the trigger. I'm about to pull it. I'm about to buy something. And I keep telling myself, "Oh, when it hit 125,000, when it hit 150,000, when it hit 175,000." Then I said, "All right, it hits 200,000, I'm done." Right? And I think it's at like 186. And as much as I drive, I've probably got 6 to 8 weeks left, and it'll be 200,000 miles on it.
So would it be bad for me to? This is a conversation we had like 2 years ago, and we're still having the same
That's
conversation.
right.
Again. It was like, "Yeah, I'm thinking about getting rid of
No,
this
you
truck."
see, you
I was
see.
like, yeah. I was like, okay, yeah, then we can have it again.
The other side of this, though, is that it looks so clean. Most people would never guess. I mean, like to me, this is my problem. I take so much pride in it that when I go to sell it, I'm not getting what I think it's worth, right? And I know that that's the way it works. And I'm like, oh man, this thing's got a lot of miles left on her. I got to at least get 200 out of it. I don't know why. It's like this thing. I think it's because I lost everything one time before. You talked about losing stuff. Like when you lose everything you have, I feel like I'm somewhat that car was an accomplishment, right? And I had originally bought it for my wife, and I got the hand-me-down instead of buying me a new car. Bought her a new one, and I took that one, and I was glad to take it. But I think that's the reason. But I'm emotionally attached to that car in some way. But I think 200's it. I've almost done it recently, and I'm like, I think I got like 13,000 miles left. I just got to go ahead and finish
It's
this.
just like with my Charger. I was at the point to where I was going to lose my Charger, and then the timing chain went out. My car sat for almost 2 years.
Oh,
2
wow.
years. You know, because the
Been all the valves and
you know
stuff.
everything, like they had to rebuild the engine.
Yeah.
But you know, when it happened, I took the car to the dealership every single time something was wrong, every time, and I owed like, I think it was like 7,000 on it when I had bought it. When it went out, and then I said, "Hey man, I took this car to you all the time. I just took it to the dealership when I was at Virginia Beach to see my mom.
Yeah, they should have told you that it needed
Yeah,
a new.
something was wrong.
Yeah.
But no, because they kept cutting off on me when I was on the highway driving to go see my mom. And I was like, okay, well, so what are we going to do? So they was like, oh, well, it's going to be $100, $119 for us to do the diagnostic. And then I told them, I said, it kept cutting off, but it'll turn back on within 2 hours. 3 hours and 50 minutes is when they went to go check the car. I said, why didn't y'all check it when I told y'all it's having the issue?
Right.
Well, our driver was, they were busy and everything. I said, well, y'all should have thought, let's take a couple minutes, go out there, check it,
Yeah.
and then find out what's going on, do a little
Yep.
diagnostic, and then that way we can try to figure out versus letting it sit there another hour beyond that point. So then everything was fine. Get back. And I said, I'm going to take it to my guy at the dealership I always take it to. As soon as on the way there, it revved up real high and then didn't go anymore. And then as soon as I get there, he said, oh, yeah, your timing chain went out. He just knew it as soon as I got there. And they was like, yeah, it's going to be about, $6,000 to put a new engine in there and all this other stuff. And I was like, I'm not paying that. No. I said, you're about to tell me I got to pay about the same amount that I owe left on the car? So it sat for 2 years, and, she kept saying, when are you going to get rid of that car? I don't know. That's my first car that I bought.
Yeah.
I was like, nah. So finally, saved up some money, and my friend was just like, why is your car sitting in front of your house, man? It's been sitting there for a while. And I was like, because the timing chain went out. He said, man, drop that off to me. He said, pay me $2,100 and I'll rebuild the engine.
Wow.
So he rebuilt the engine. I've been cool ever since.
For 33% less than what you thought it was going to cost.
Yeah.
I like it.
So I said, okay. So, like I said, there's been things in my life I'm very grateful because that didn't have to happen that way.
That's right.
And I was working from home at that point too. So I really wasn't going nowhere.
Right.
So, I was just like, well, I ain't really going nowhere. If I need to, I'll take my other van I have and drive somewhere or wait for her to get home. But ironically, and then touch base on when I went back working for Spectrum, and then I left Spectrum to go work at the dealership. 3 months later, they called me. They said, hey, can you take over the other contract of our other fleets? I was like,
Nice.
so do I got to keep coming to y'all, work for y'all for months, and then leave? And then y'all
escape.
finally say, hey,
Hey.
we'll give this to you?
It's a better relationship, though, right?
I mean, it actually is.
Make
I
more
mean,
money,
they call-
for sure. Yeah.
He called me yesterday. He said, even though all this pandemic stuff's going on, our guys love you guys, so we need y'all to keep coming out. And I was like,
That's great.
that has increased the business a lot. Grateful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Especially
mean,
right now, yeah.
going from one side of the fleet where we do it twice a month to where we're out there every week, 3 days a week,
Well, that's perfect.
cleaning 30 plus vehicles. I had to hire another crew just to handle our fleets.
I like
Nice.
that.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
It's crazy how it works, man. I was watching this thing the other day, and I can't remember. There was like 10 companies that are billion-dollar companies that were started and founded in 2008, 2009, 2010 during what we would call the last major economy meltdown, essentially, the last crash. And these are billion-dollar companies now. Right? And they were started during a period when hope was lost for a lot. So you start looking at it and you look at the opportunity. I think part of that's networking. And
Yeah.
you've been grinding. You've been doing the same. You've been following your passion, doing the same thing for a long enough period of time that you've created this amazing network of people that they're thinking about you, right? And maybe you're not their guy today, but you might be their guy in the future. I think that's what's happened with Spectrum and with these other contracts. And if you do that over a long enough period of time, you're gonna have to turn down business until you can staff up.
right. we have, because like during that time where we had to, when we had left the shop, and then I had to make a decision of, okay, well, we don't have the shop. Sales had tripled, right towards the end. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, all right. Now it's just like, okay, back down to here. But had to let some people go. And at that point, because it was right during that slow season of mobile sides, which is usually January and February, which is slow because of the weather,
Right.
where it's just like, okay, well, we had 2 of our big contracts that came through that we normally do a car show up in Raleigh, which we take care of like 300 vehicles to get them ready to be on the floor. And we clean them all and wipe them all down
Wow.
and put spray wax on them. But they reached out to me and they said, yeah, we need like 5 of you guys to come up. And I was like, well, there's only 1. 2 at the point. And they was like, oh, yeah, we're going to have to hand it off to somebody else. And I was like, oh, because that's one of our $4,000, $5,000 jobs.
Right.
And I was like, all right, well, okay, just let us know. And we were doing stuff for them for like 3 years. So it was repeatedly every March that we were there. Right, February, during they were there, because that was that hump that would cover us during
Right.
that time to do this and do that, just in case we had some slow times. But like you're saying, just to stay in the grind, man.
Yeah.
You got to, because if you decide to allow yourself to just fall apart, it's not going to be an end result.
No, you're right.
'Cause I tell everyone, I said, there's a couple of detailing companies out there that only worry about the high end, only worry about the big money. And I tell them, I said, you got to think about every customer is like helping you grow your tree. Those little customers are your base that makes that base strong.
Yeah, and you can have a division that's just dedicated to those customers too.
I said, because someone can come and cut that tree down, but
Yeah.
that stump will eventually grow back. Those high-end folks sometimes are like leaves on a tree. They're like seasons. They come and go.
Yeah, that's true.
I said, but those little folks that have that Honda Civic or that Honda Accord that just needs that basic cleaning every time, they will be your base.
Yeah, your bread and butter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'll never forget about the little folks.
Oh, yeah.
Well, cool, man. Do you want to give out some information for people to find you and
Oh yeah.
do a
So
little
they
shout out for
can
your business?
follow us on Instagram at Davis_mobile_detailing. You can also find the same way on Facebook. Just make sure that seems to be there's some other Davis Mobile Detailing guys out there. Just make sure you look for the one that's on the Greensboro,
Okay.
North Carolina. They can follow us on Twitter at DAVMOB Detailing, and Snapchat too. You can find us on Snapchat.
Cool.
People like my Snapchat every once in a while. Do a little post here and there. And then they can go to our website, davismobiledetailing.com, or contact the office at 336-317-8306.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Anything else?
Man, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been
nice
awesome,
to
man.
catch up some and have you in today, man.
Oh, yes, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you guys. Like I was saying, I've been watching you guys, and you guys are doing some really good stuff.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on the show.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.
All right.
Bye-bye. That's a wrap.
Bye.